Hey guys, it's Miss Dawsett, and today we're going to talk a little bit about plants. I know yesterday you watched a video about plant parts and what all of those different parts do. So on the board I have a diagram, and we call this a diagram because it has labels. If it didn't have labels, we could just call it a picture, but there's a fly flying around me. But in science or other subjects, if you add labels to your picture, that kind of bumps it up and we'll call it a diagram. So I have a diagram on the board of a sunflower, and I've labeled some of the basic plant parts that you probably heard about yesterday. If you didn't take notes in your journal yesterday, that's okay. You can pause the video and get something similar to this in your science journal. You don't have to draw the same plant that I drew, but you do want to make sure that you include a flower, stem, a leaf, and roots. So you may think, well, not all plants have flowers, or a tree's stem looks very different than this, and that's true. Different plants are going to have different parts for their specialized needs. Okay, today we're going to talk about plant structures. And you might be thinking, well, yesterday we talked about plant parts. Well, they're the same thing. So in 4th grade, like I said just a second ago, we're going to be trying to bump up our vocabulary. And this word structures, all that means is a part. And you have body structures, plants have structures, even buildings have structures, or your Chromebook has structures. So that's just a fancy word for parts. So instead of me saying plant parts, or later on when we learn about animals saying animal parts, you'll hear me use the word structures. And all it means is parts. Now, in the video yesterday, when it was talking about all of the different structures of the plant, you may have seen that each structure has its own job. And the fancy word for that is function. Okay, so each plant structure has a specific job or a function. These are 2 vocabulary words that you're going to want to add to your science journal under your plant diagram. So let's think about it. The flower is a very common plant structure, and it serves a function. It has a job. The job of the flower is to attract all the different pollinators, bees and butterflies and even birds, so that they can spread the pollen from one plant to another, and it can create a seed and make a new plant. The function of the leaf is to collect the sunlight so that the plant can make its own food through a photosynthesis. Then the function of the stem is to hold that plant up so that it can get to the sunlight, and it also provides some stability for the plant to keep it from falling over. And like I said, the stem on a tree is going to look very different, we call that a trunk, than just on a small flower. And then the roots. Yesterday on the video you learned that roots not only soak up water and nutrients for the plant, but they also hold it into the ground. If trees didn't have roots, imagine what would happen in a big windstorm. Okay, so there are more structures than just these 4 that most plants have, but these are the basic ones that we're going to start focusing on first. Every structure on a plant serves one of 3 functions. And so the main 3 functions that we're going to get into over the next few weeks are first, support, and growth. So I want you to look back at your diagram or look at mine and think about which one of these structures provides support. So what holds the plant up? What holds it in place? If you said the stem and the roots, you're right. Which ones help it to grow? Well, it has to have roots to grow because it has to soak up the water and the nutrients. And it also needs its leaf. or leaves, because that's where plants make their food. And we're going to learn all about that process later. So if the structure is not for support or growth, then it might be for protection. Did you guys know that plants need protection? I don't see a bodyguard anywhere. Doesn't seem to have any weapons. What could a plant use for protection? Well, this plant here actually doesn't have any structures for protection. But what if it was a rose and it had these little spikes on it? Have you ever picked a rose and been pricked by a thorn? Well, thorns are one special type of plant structure that's used for protection. You might have even gotten poison ivy before. Poison ivy has an oil that makes you itch, and that's actually its structure that's used for protection. Most animals know not to eat poison ivy because it would make them itch. So we're going to talk about all different kinds of plant structures that are used for protection, and it's not a bodyguard. Okay, the third thing that a plant might have a structure for is reproduction. Plants don't go to hospitals to have babies, they just produce seeds. And when that seed is spread, then a new plant grows. So we're also going to be learning about what structures on the plant are used for reproduction. It's going to be things mainly involved with the flower and the different parts of the flower, because the colors attract all those pollinators that we were talking about later. Okay, so we're going to learn more about these things throughout the next few weeks, but you're going to want to make sure in your science journal that you have a diagram with the labeled structures, and that you know what the word structures mean, what the word function means, and that the three things that a plant structure might do. These are the jobs or the function. Okay? I will see you guys in class, or I'll see you on Friday Zoom. Bye, guys.